got a massive shed. Welcome to another video. Been thinking about doing this one for a while. I wanted it to be my first video, but I got so excited with the cat snake thing and wanted to try and show some reptiles first. I put it down further on the list of priorities. So what I want to do is just kind of go over why I built a shed like this, a little bit into how I built it, just in case you want some tips on how to do it yourself. What I'd change about it, because that's quite important, because you only get one shot at it, which I found out, and generally my kind of theory behind why I did it, and my sort of principles and stuff like that. So let's get started. Okay, so this is where it all started. There was a greenhouse originally on this bit and a shed. I cleared it all off, and we started building a timber frame building. So this is the floor. Obviously we built it in sections. It measures 30 foot long by 10 foot wide. Then we insulated the floor. Insulation is going to be a key factor in this build because we want to keep the room hot during the winter without heating it too much. Then we started putting the timber frames up. So this is a timber frame building, exactly how you'd build a garden shed or a garden room. I just watched loads and loads of YouTube videos. Then the roof came on. This then had to be clad with OSB on the outside, ready for the insulation. This was the bit I regret the most. I used a fiberglass roof, and it's been nothing but a headache. I panic about it being watertight. It was stressful doing it. First time ever doing it. I watched loads of YouTube videos and I would never do it again. If I could do it all again, I'd either use rubber or tin. Here's the inside. Started to put the vapor barrier on the ceiling. As you can see, the walls aren't insulated yet. We used 100mm insulation in the walls. Here's a window. Don't know why I included that. It's not just your average shed. I've got UPVC windows in there to try and help keep the heat in, same as the door. And here is the finished room, ready, all fresh, ready to for me to start making a mess in there, building enclosures, dragging old enclosures in there. It will never look like that again. And here are the first two enclosures that I built that are permanent. Everything else is going to be kind of movable, but these two were permanent. I had to build them before the electrics. And here is the finished room. We finished it September or October last year, 2020. I think in total we spent about £5,500 building the room. Expensive parts mainly are the cladding and the insulation. And that is the most important thing. We used 100mm insulation in the walls and 100mm insulation in the ceiling. It's currently winter at the moment in the UK. Temperatures are hitting 0, they're hitting freezing, and the room stays warm. Some of the vivariums have nighttime temperature settings. The whole room is heated by a small electric radiator, but nothing's working its arse off to keep the temperatures in there at a good level. I want to take this time as well to thank all my friends and especially my wife Kaylee for helping build this. I in no way did this on my own. My friends were really helpful. Everyone chipped in, and that's how we got it all done. Another thing is the tortoise run. So this is Daisy. She's currently in hibernation, so she's not going to feature too much, but I quickly knocked her up an enclosure. She actually has a hatch that goes all the way through the reptile room wall at the end of the enclosure, so she can come in and out, which I think is really cool, and we'll definitely feature that more in the future. All this sort of stuff, the run was temporary, and her tortoise table was adapted from how we kept it indoors when we first moved in. So the number one reason I built my shed, it's the only reason, is to house my and my wife's own animals better. It's the only thing we care about. This isn't a business for us. This isn't a breeding facility. This is nothing like that. We have pet snakes, pet lizards, pet invertebrates, and what we wanted to do was just build something that we could house everything to the best of our ability. I've been a part-time zookeeper. I've worked in animal sanctuaries. I've volunteered loads of time to doing stuff like that, and I just want a slice of that in my own garden. We've had the reptile room in the house, the standard reptile room in your house, the spare bedroom. We've done that. We did that when we lived in Essex a few years ago. They took over our entire bedroom. I felt like I kept animals correctly. We had UVB, we had enrichment, and we had size enclosures that were the minimum size and the kind of accepted size. And I was just desperate to try and do something better than that. I was desperate to try and move somewhere. I couldn't do it in Essex. We didn't have the money to buy somewhere that big in Essex where we could build something in our garden. So we moved to Norfolk, Norwich, and it allowed us to have a garden that we could build a shed in and house the animals how we wanted to. I'll give you a quick tour of some of the enclosures, what I'm building and what I plan to build. These were the first enclosures that I started to build when I moved in. These house 3 of our Boiga species. We have a male Boiga cyanea, a female Boiga cyanea. Reason why they don't live together, they do like eating each other. Females are bigger. I don't want her chomping down on my male. That's not what we're doing it for, like I said earlier. And then in there is a Boiga cynodon. So that is, yep, so same genus, different species. After that, I moved on to this. Now this thing was my dream from the start. Before we even put a stone on the floor to put the reptile room on, I wanted to build something that took up a corner and was a statement. I wanted my version of a zoo quality enclosure. I'm halfway through the grouting process at the moment. So these grey bits, up here are the bits that are left to do, and this is kind of our final, I mean it's still drying, but this is our final kind of texture coat. This is the base colour, and then I'll be colouring that from there. That actually measures 5 foot long by 6 foot tall. It's 3 foot deep at that side and 2 foot deep at that side. And lastly, these are the start of my standard-ish enclosures. These measure 6 foot long by 2.5 foot deep by just under 3 foot tall. And I'm actually going to build 6 of these in total that will span this entire wall. Once these are finished, and I know exactly what I'm doing, all of these snakes will be going in these all the way along the wall, and all these vivariums are going to go in the bin. They're 5 foot vivariums. Well, the end ones are 5 foot, and these 2 here are 4 foot. And they're just not big enough. They're just not big enough for the colubrids that I keep. I don't keep massive colubrids. They're on the larger scale, I suppose. There's false water cobras in there. A Taiwanese beauty snake. She definitely needs something bigger. And northern pines, and right at the top is a black rat snake. So they'll all have a 6 foot enclosure, which I think once that's fully kitted out, I've done, you know, some rock work, loads of branches, loads of things for them to climb. Because it's all well and good having a 6 foot long enclosure, but if I just throw substrate in there, it's pointless. I might as well have kept them in a 5 foot. So that's going to be full of places to hide and bask, and ledges and branches. So I've got my work cut out, but they're next. And all these enclosures I'm going to build I'm going to do build diaries and stuff like that, but I'm not going to really release them until they are finished. So in conclusion, the reptile room, it's a 30-foot by 10-foot building. It's got 15 snakes in it. It's probably never going to have any more than that. The whole ethos behind this reptile room is just to house my animals nicely and correctly. I just want to show people that, you know, you can build stuff like this for your snakes. Everything doesn't have to go into a 4-foot viv or a 5-foot viv. Push the boundaries, push what you can do, and just build big enclosures and enjoy the snakes you have. You don't have to cram millions of snakes into a room. I could fit hundreds of snakes into this room if I put just racks in here. But I'm never going to do that. Okay, I'm going to house my 15 snakes correctly in a big size enclosure that they can use to their advantage. It's going to be full of enrichment, and hopefully they have happy little lives. It's worth mentioning as well, 3/4 of these snakes are rescues, in the true sense of the word as well. I used to work in an animal sanctuary. I worked for there for 2 years, and I did a little bit, about a year, as a part-time reptile keeper at an aquarium as well. And I used to, every now and again, if something came in that I thought was pretty cool, it would come home with me. So I've been into houses and taken snakes away from, you know, from parents with children that brought a snake for them and they didn't want them anymore, and all that kind of stuff. Snakes that were dumped on animal sanctuaries, and just generally unwanted pets. Yes, I've bought some new snakes. By new, I mean straight from the pet store. Yes, I've done that. Would I do that now, in the future? No, not interested. Just about housing the snakes I've already got correctly. Okay, so thanks for watching. I know that was a bit snake heavy and it's mainly just my face talking, but this gets the basics out of the way. This is what I'm doing, and now we can start having fun. We can start building enclosures, and we can start putting snakes in enclosures. We can talk about the specific species and how to care for them, and stuff like that. It's worth mentioning I've got some lizards and I've got invertebrates. They are going to feature, but let's get the snakes sorted first. They're the ones that need the big enclosures, and then we'll start to do some videos on lizards and invertebrates and how we keep all them. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.